All right, peace and blessings, y'all. Sam PK Collins, All Eyes on DC. The day is the 20th of March, 2020. We're in a the word I'm looking for, a very unique time in history right now. Just dealing with what they call a global pandemic, the coronavirus. And usually we would be at Sankofa conducting this interview in front of a live audience. People just have a chance to ask questions. Instead, tonight, we're all following Mayor Bowser's orders in terms of just limiting our activity, staying at home, staying close, trying to stay healthy. So with that being said, I want to introduce our guest, Xavier Brown. He's a friend to the All Eyes on DC show. And tonight's episode is very important given the fact that we're coming into the first day of spring, not too long from now. And with the change in the seasons and just the coronavirus coming up, this is a good chance to have a really powerful discussion about, what this means for horticulture, what this means for community gardening, and what this means for commerce, agroecology, a lot of things that Xavier is very well versed in. So I'm just going to open the floor to him. Welcome back to the All Eyes on DC show, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Just if you can, say a little bit about yourself for people who are going to be watching this.
Sure. My name is Xavier Brown, native Washingtonian. Graduated from North Carolina A&T. Founder of Soulful City, co-founder of South Eats. A member of the Black Dirt Farm Collective. That's it. I like to keep it minimal.
Understood. Because a lot of what you do is so impactful. Would you mind just explaining each of them a little bit and like just how they fit into all that you do?
Yeah. So Black Dirt Farm Collective is a collective of Black farmers and educators and artists and organizers based in the Mid-Atlantic region, probably from like Philly down to North Carolina. And we came up with this, us and some other people came up with like a social or like a farming methodology kind of, or cosmology called Afroecology, which is like repositioning people of African descent in the diaspora and people, continental Africans as well, repositioning our relationship to the land and like farming and food. It's called Afroecology, and we host these retreats. Hopefully we can have one later on this year, depending on how things turn out. So that's that. Soulful, just an organization I created a few years ago. I wanted to create a vehicle to work with Black folks in DC, in this area, really around the country, but definitely DC, Maryland, Virginia area, reconnect people back to the land, growing food, education, things of that nature, just agriculture, environmental education. South Eats is a worker-owned food co-op that I co-founded with Joel Robinson and Jennifer Bryant, and we brought on our first worker owner last year, Winfred Jones, and we ran a pilot last year. Hopefully, we can launch. All this COVID stuff has kind of slowed us up, but hopefully, we can launch in June. And essentially, what we're going to be doing is sourcing food from, hopefully, primarily from Black farmers and Latinx farmers and other farmers of color, and kind of creating prepared meals that aren't, they're not going to be cooked, but they're going to be just all you have to do is heat and eat it. And just to figure out a different way to get kind of food to people in a form that people kind of recognize, because sometimes, if we have a bunch of beautiful vegetables, if you don't know how to cook, or if you don't know how have the time to cook, then just getting a bunch of kale or collard greens or spinach or callaloo or whatever it is, beets, radishes, it could be anything. It really doesn't mean anything if you don't know what to do with it, right? So just figuring that and the food is raw, so people can, we can accept EBT. So that's coming soon. And we have a website too.
Okay.
Follow us. So, yeah.
So it sounds like, you're doing stuff on the micro level, with your own unit, but you're also collaborating with other people.
Yeah.
Sounds like this is like a network, and you have like-minded people just doing the same thing. And what's the conversation been like? I would say since the beginning of this year. What are people talking about and gearing up for the season?
Yeah, I think a lot of the conversation earlier this year. I think that was in February, I went to the National Black Food and Justice Alliance Conference. A lot of people are around the country, like in Detroit. They're building a co-op. They've been a real big, a dope co-op that they're putting together. Some folks, I think they're coming out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Co-op too. Other people, some folks out of Atlanta have programs where they're working with youth. Other folks coming out of Atlanta and deeper in the South are trying to get land, get black farmers land and stuff like that. So I would say it's just like cooperative economics for sure, and land. I think that's one thing. Yeah, so those two things were big, and I just came from a conference, and this is like 2 weeks ago, a regenerative economics conference. So figuring out different ways to do business. Yeah. Like revolving loan funds and non-extractive ways of getting capital to start businesses. So I think those are like the big topics that people are talking about.
It's real dope and it's real relevant. I think, just the last 2 weeks or so, with the recent events that happened, I think it's real relevant, just really speaking about that supply chain and all this talk about people getting quarantined and just secluded in their homes. What's been going through your mind, somebody in your industry, during this time? I'll be even more specific as it relates to food. Like, what's been on your mind as far as that's concerned?
Yeah, so I've just been thinking like, I think there'll be more people that'll be interested in growing food than before. I mean, there's always people interested, but now I think like people see that it's a skill that we all need to have. So that, I think that's cool. I don't know if cool is the word, but it's interesting. I also think that we need to kind of think deeper and more collective around food. Definitely for Black people, I think it should be definitely more canning, more like preserving of food and vegetables in that way, like canning and pickling.
So like, where would I start if I was, just given the fact that tomorrow is like the first day of spring and all? Where would I?
Nah, I think being in DC is like we're fortunate that we're not like in a rural area or something like that. In DC, there's a lot of resources. It's like kind of resource heavy if you're able to tap into them, if you know what they are. The resources only work if you know where they are, right? So I know I just saw something on Facebook that the organization called City Blossoms, they were going to have a seedling sale. They work with Eastern High School in Cardozo. They were going to have a seedling sale, but since CPS is shut down for at least like another month, they're not going to be able to have a seedling sale, so they're giving away free seedlings.
Okay.
I would, the first thing I would do is like make a list of like the things that you eat. I would be like what are like the top 5 things that you eat on a regular basis?
Yeah.
Make that list, see if you can order those seeds online, see if you can get them in the grocery store, from wherever, Home Depot, see if you can get them, find somewhere to grow. I think that's always could be an issue depending on where you live. Find somewhere to grow, whether it's your backyard or your parents' backyard, or if you don't have a backyard, if you have just some window space, you may be able to fit on a window space.
Yeah.
Like a windowsill. You won't yield a lot, but those would be the first. I would start with just writing down like, what do I want to eat? Like, what do I eat? And how can I grow it, And then once you do that, I've been kind of on the collective mindset right now. You might want to hit up somebody else, what do they eat too?
Yeah.
And both of y'all can grow together, you know what I'm saying? And so just kind of doing it like that and growing from there. But I think it's fairly easy. Most of the stuff that most people eat the same stuff over and over again anyway.
Yeah.
So, it shouldn't be that hard. Most of the stuff that we eat is pretty easy to grow. Nobody's growing anything that's like takes a long time to grow. Most stuff that people grow in their backyard is like ready in 30, 40, 50 days.
What are some crops that come to mind?
Man, right now, so I've been in the greenhouse all week with my homeboy Masadi, and we pretty much seeded everything we could get our hands on. So we did a whole bunch of kale, we did cabbage collards, collard greens, tomatoes, squash, butternut squash, whole bunch of flowers, whole bunch of peppers, literally anything that you can think of that's like edible, Swiss chard, we did everything, like a little bit of everything. So I went to Trinidad, Tobago in December. I brought back different kinds of beans from there, peppers from there. Started up a bunch of stuff, So just trying to and I'm open to sharing with whoever. I'm gonna grow a bunch of stuff, but I'll have more, so I'm willing to share. So yeah.
Like, and I think for people who are going to be jumping into this, especially with recent events, what should somebody who has like a limited level of experience think about? Because for some of us, it might seem like a no-brainer. You put the seeds in the ground,
Sure.
they come out. But is it a bit more complicated than that, of course? Or, what are some things that you should look out for?
Definitely. So like, let's just say that you're fortunate enough to have you have your space already, so that's not an issue. If you have space and you want to choose a section in your backyard or front yard or wherever you are that's facing the south, that gets more sunlight. It'll direct sunlight. That's number one. I would say if you're starting everything from seed, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people probably make is putting their seeds too deep in the soil, right? So most seeds are tiny, and so they only have to be put like the size of the seed, like a half the size of the seed is what they need to go into the soil. So it's really like on top, and then just sprinkle some soil on top. So you don't even have to go like, put your whole finger in the ground and put the plant in the hole or put the seed in the hole. That's unnecessary. I think
that's a good one, man.
Yeah, I think those two things for sure. Just not planting the seeds too deep, knowing like which direction, south facing, and just kind of being out there like almost like try to form a relationship with your garden. You know what I'm saying? So you want to check on it every day, spend time with it every day, see what's going on with it. You want to water it. You don't want to overwater. If it rains, you don't have to water, obviously, but just kind of spend time out there and trying to make it like a way of life, a way of a day. You know what I'm saying? You incorporate it in the day like that. So just think of it like that. So some people, like a daily habit for some people might be smoking or going to the gym or praying. Like incorporate it into your life in that way, and it'll grow. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. So like if you get a packet that has like 70 seeds, plant all the seeds. You know what I'm saying? Plant all of them, and don't be afraid to kill some plants. That's how you learn real fast. So
so would you say like first thing in the morning, you're going out there watering the plants, or
I would water in the morning time if you have the time. Like go out there in the morning time. It gives the time for like the sun. Water will evaporate and stuff like that. Typically, at least from my experience, like watering at night, it kind of attracts like little slugs and stuff like that that'll come in and munch on your plants at night. So do it in the morning if you have time. But if you don't, do it at night too. You know what I'm saying? So
that's beautiful, man. Really got a way of talking about it, simplifying it for us. What's the timeline like? How many weeks are we talking on average?
That's a good question. I would say like I would start now, like I would start today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, start like choosing your location, choosing your 5, 10, 15, 20 plants you want to grow. So I would start now, kind of preparing your soil and all that type of stuff. I probably won't put my plants outside until April. It's still a little chilly at nighttime. It's still like getting in 40s. So the nighttime temperatures get a little bit warmer. I'm gonna put my plants outside, put them in the soil. But I'm super excited to grow this season. I'm excited to grow this season, and I'm excited about, I think, the conversations that people are going to be having because of COVID. So I think this whole crisis, this pandemic, is going to spark a lot of changes that I think probably changes that like people like ourselves couldn't have forced on people before. You know what I'm saying? Because like, we're all forced to adjust now, or maybe things that we took for granted now, we realize that like it can just change just like that, so it's going to force us all to change. So hopefully like we can look at this as something that can be generative, and we can take advantage of the way we organize and build with one another, and think strategically about all these different systems So
Yeah, because like you've been able to do that. If I recall correctly, you had Pippin hot sauce at one point. I think you pretty much showed us um, that whole process from like planning, harvesting to actually creating something and like creating an economy of sorts. Just showing us how food is able to um, how food pretty much is a currency in itself. Like where do you see, I guess, this going down the line? We don't know how long this is going to take. Mayor Bowser just announced that April 27th is the new date for this to wrap up. Like, at what point do you see, what position do you see food taking? What prominence, I guess, over other materials?
yeah, I mean, I feel like food is always like a centerpiece of like all civilization. So I think food will be in the mix. I think the biggest question about like for all of us, like people like me who grow at like a little tiny scale, it's like how can you scale a little bit larger, get scale a little bit larger, but also how can we get more people engaged in the food space with like supporting Black farmers or Latin farmers or whoever, you know what I'm saying, Latinx farmers,
Yeah,
supporting them with their dollar, you know what I mean? But also more people just taking on and learning how to grow food, learning how to preserve food. I feel like those skills are indispensable, you know what I'm saying? Like that, and when you have a garden, and we just talking about gardening, like it's a like you'll always have more tomatoes than you need. You know what I'm saying? You'll always have more sweet potatoes than you can eat. You'll always have more squash than you can eat. You'll always have abundance. And so if we figure out, how to tap into that and have it, so I'm growing food, you're growing food, your brother, my sister's growing food,
yeah,
everybody's growing food or is connected to somebody that is growing food, and
yeah,
figure out how to build a system around that, I think we'll be stronger. We'll be stronger in a lot of ways, and we can build out the proper infrastructure that we need, whether it's cold storage to save food or
yeah.
materials and supplies. So we know like when something like this, because I feel like this is probably not gonna be the last time that something like this happens. So how are we prepared for?
Definitely won't. I think that this moment in time will change the way that a lot of people are. I think if folks weren't selfish before, well, I think that people, there's some polarity. People will get more communal, but you'll have people who will be just as selfish, and not selfish in the sense that they're going to hoard everything necessarily, but more like they want to make sure that they're good. They're going to, and they might go by the means of growing their own food, or they might go by like hoarding money and resources that, no matter how that looks. And my question regarding what you said, everything about being communal and putting our resources together, how does that look like with this whole notion about social distancing and not being in clusters of greater than 6 or 10 and just being away from people? How can we do that and like at the same time make sure that more people aren't getting sick?
Yeah, I think that's like the whole that's new. The social distancing part is new. I think collectively we would have to kind of figure that out and figure out some workarounds. I think like what we're doing right now works. I mean, I was at a farm earlier today and it was like 5 of us there and we harvested like probably like, I don't know, 60, 70 pounds of kale, a bunch of radishes and stuff. And Gail from 3 Part Farms, she still has a bunch of stuff there. So I think I don't have an answer for you for that off the top of my head, but I think it would be like a collective thing that we could all kind of think about, you know what I'm saying? And figure out how can we take care of ourselves, because everybody has to take care of themselves, but also figure out ways to work together at the same time. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't have the answer off the
Oh
top.
yeah, I think that it's an evolving question. I'm admittedly I'm still out here in the streets sometimes, but I try to do it as least.
Ride my bike the other day. I'm gonna ride my bike tomorrow morning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna ride my bike probably by myself, and I'm not gonna like be out in a large crowd or anything like that. But totally, I mean, it's something that's new. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a new concept that I guess that everybody's trying to deal with at the same time. So it's super interesting, man. It's we're in like a different time period. You know what I mean? We're like in a time period that it's almost like something that you read about in
Oh
history.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. They done had endless movies about this, man. You know, it's what folks been talking about for a long time. How have you been, I guess, trying to stay healthy? I guess like either like in your diet or is there anything in particular that you do?
Man, I haven't really changed anything that like outside of what I normally do. Like I make a smoothie in the morning with whatever I have on hand. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about elderberry and sea
Yeah.
moss and all that type of stuff. I have some sea moss that I got from a woman in North Carolina at the Black Food Justice Alliance conference, but I don't have any elderberry. I probably won't. I mean, it's good. I probably won't go out hunting for it or nothing like that.
Yeah, what is it about these things? It's like every 4 months or so, the new thing shows up. But you know, I not saying it's new, but it's like the thing people have been using. Like it just catches on. Like
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking the same thing. I think it's I mean, I guess it's kind of like trendy. You know, it seems to be like people are able to somehow get like sea moss in bulk, which is interesting. You know what I mean? Like it would be like when I was at the conference, this woman, and she actually brings her stuff up to DC to Secrets of Nature, and she was telling me that you should ask where whoever is selling you sea moss, ask them where they got their sea moss from.
yeah,
It's like a sustainable, a healthy source. So if it's coming from like different parts of Asia, because of different things that have happened, you know, in different countries in Asia, then the water over there is not as healthy. So you want to make sure this is what she told me at least.
right.
So don't shoot the messenger, but you want to get it from the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? Different countries in the Caribbean who have healthier waters. I don't know too much about elderberry. What I've been reading about or thinking about more is like what in this continent that we're on, what plants do we have that are native to where we are, right now, that are healthy? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of those plants are like things that we would consider weeds. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's like dandelion greens, whether it's like amaranth, whether it's like different kinds of nettles. You know, it's a whole, it's a whole bunch of stuff that people pull up out of the ground that's always growing that I'm sure will probably be considered like superfoods. You know what I mean? So I
Wow.
about that. And this black farmer, like back in the day when I first got into agriculture, he told me, this is what he told, I never, this dude named Eugene, you should check him out. He has a Instagram called Grow Where You Are. Real brilliant dude. He said that like, you know, since we're living in the United States, the plants that are growing here and definitely in your region are better suited for your body because they're tapped into the soil, they're tapped into the air that you breathe, the water, you know what I'm saying? They're tapped into the ecology of where you live. I'm not like dissing sea moss or anything like that from other countries. I'm just saying like what he was telling me made sense. Like all this stuff is the dandelion greens that are coming from the soil that you walk past every day. If it's healthy soil, you know what I'm saying, have the nutrients that are for like what's going on in your region, you know what I'm saying, that you're dealing with physically, health. So that made me. So I've been like reading more about like edible weeds is like I guess what people would call them. You know what I'm saying? I just got something in my email about it and reading about that and getting better at like identifying them and like adding those to my diet and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like the indigenous part. You know, of what people try and get back to. Like we're all connected. You know.
If you think about it, like sea moss is indigenous to somewhere, some countries. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Indigenous to somewhere. I'm sure if you go to Nigeria, they have a ton of crops that are indigenous to Nigeria. You go to Ghana or different regions. You know what I'm saying? That people are eating in that region that keep them healthy for whatever's going on in that region. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it makes total sense. I'm not saying that sea moss isn't healthy, but I was just thinking like, what's here that is similar to sea moss? What could we get our hands on? I'm sure there's something in the DMV region that exists that's just growing somewhere that we walk past every day, step on, that could be something that's like super nutritionally dense and can help us.
But that goes back to your point about just us coming together as a community. Part of that means knowing more about your environment, you know, especially if we're growing stuff here. You know, knowing more about the plant life that's indigenous to this place. And you know, I think that can pose a lot of benefits health-wise. You know, you know, they're telling a lot of our folks that if they have, you know, other chronic illnesses, They can do telehealth stuff. They can, a lot of this activity hasn't, from what I read, has like reverse pollution in some places just because we've all slowed down.
I read that too. I
You know,
read.
it's deep, man. I think that this is the time, if any, for people to really think about going back to nature.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. If you have a chance, there's a they call it there's an organization called Climate Justice Alliance.
Okay.
They have their movement is around just transition, but it's like a transition away from like fossil fuels, away from extractive capitalism,
Yeah.
and justice. But they have like some real good methods of doing that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's real interesting. But it goes to your point about ways that people can like, how can we like transition to our thinking to being more in alignment with nature, more in alignment with like our ancestors and things of that nature. So I'm right with you with that. But you should check out Climate Justice Alliance. And there's another organization out of I just met these folks when I was in Oregon like 2 weeks ago. Organization called Movement Generation, and they have a whole pamphlet on just transition and like extractive economics. But how can we have like systems that are like based off of like nature and non-extractive, but they're generative? Stuff that our ancestors, Black people, have been doing for years and years and years. A lot of stuff we've kind of fallen out of tune with, but it's still there. So yeah.
I remember you mentioning that some years back, maybe around the time when I first interviewed you, just about our relationship with the earth and how that had been tainted by trauma. What have been like the health benefits for you? Speaking from personal experience of just being in the soil, because I can imagine that you get down, like you're really in there. You got your hands in the earth. You're communing with people. What benefits have you seen in your life for those who aren't really aware of the whole culture?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest benefits, I've met like a lot of amazing people that work with the land.
Yeah.
Amazing, like some brilliant people from all different types of backgrounds. It's made me slow down. I feel like I'm more present with like what I'm doing. I feel like I'm just more present within myself. My mind's not like all over the place, which is it's easy to do because we have so much stuff coming at us all the time with like technology. So I'm more present. I'm able to slow down. Man, I'm happy. I just genuinely enjoy it. I think it's happy just to see things grow and to feel like you're a part of, not to feel like it, but to recognize that you're a part that's larger than yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of inserting yourself within that system.
Yeah.
That, man, I could go on and on, man. And just I feel like now I've been reading. I just got finished reading randomly. I've been reading a rack of books. I'm always reading, but now that I've been reading a little bit more. I just got finished reading, and it's a short book, Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I started reading Collective Courage by I forget what her name is, but Julia Gordon Nimhart.
Okay.
About Black cooperatives in this country. It's crazy, but just like knowing that what we're doing, what we're all doing, we're a part of like these larger lineages of, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not, it's not like a one-off, you know what I'm saying? So what you're doing, somebody else has been doing it before you. What I'm doing, somebody's been doing it before me, and we're carrying on traditions. We're doing it in our own way, but we're carrying on like traditions from the past. And so just the more I read, the more I get connected to the soul, it makes me want to connect deeper with history, which kind of pushes my work forward in that way. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
Respect makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy you brought up Booker T. Washington. I think about because he was a controversial figure to an extent. The whole Atlanta speech.
Yeah, I think he did a bad rap on that. When I think about it, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we got. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
He did though. He do. And I think where I'm going with this. In terms of like the whole organizing piece. I think that. And you might agree, or I want to hear you weigh in on this, but I think that politically we've gotten too caught up in that, and like not saying that I'm happy about the way that things have turned out as far as primaries and all of that being canceled, but Mother Nature's really showing us that you know, she's the Almighty. And Booker T was talking about that in the sense when he asked us to be industrial, and when he asked us to focus more on, you know, building ourselves up to be able to, and you know, and Garvey had a twist on it when he was more about creating your own. But I see what Booker T was talking about when he said making yourself more marketable to them. What I think he was saying for real was just building up your skill set, because, you know, we gotta, coming out of slavery, we had to, you know, be independent. Like that was what he saw, you know, from what I read, like in his works and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I agree with you. Like I think people forget like how like close like he gave that speech like this is like 30 years. Slavery had only been over for like 30 years. So what he was born enslaved too. I think that's another important fact. But also like we think about like the people that he was like working with every day, he was working with a lot of people who are formerly enslaved Africans. You know what I'm saying? So understanding like, yo, like a liberal arts degree is not gonna work for my people down here. That might work for somebody that's like, and I love W.B. Du Bois. He's brilliant. That might work for somebody that's coming out that has his background and his lineage. But for my people down here, who are just, they're not even a generation removed from slavery, that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? We have to, and so I totally understand. Like I understand where he's coming from. I understand what he was saying, and when you read more about him, you know, people have said that it was part of a strategy, right? So it was a part of a larger strategy that he had. And you know, he funded a lot of things to stop, you know, white supremacy and racism. So it wasn't like he was all the way, you know what I'm saying, out of line with what was supposed to be going on. But now I agree. I mean, the dude was like when you read, I mean, the book is a short book. When you read that joint, and then I read something else about him in this book called Freedom Farmers. You go, damn, like, yo, like I know I saw you went to GW, I went to A&T. Imagine having to build the school before you went. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if you had to build the class you went to at GW, I had to build that shit at A&T before we went to classes for other students. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like
learning, hands-on learning.
So it's like, you know, it's mind blowing that like what he was able to achieve and what he was doing, and really those skills that he was talking about would be super beneficial right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if we had more carpenters, more masons, more more a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? All of those trades, it would be beneficial. Booker T. Washington was like, I mean, he was the one who recruited George Washington Carver.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. I know that's a point. Yep.
I mean, I read that he was connected to Garvey. He was one of the reasons that Garvey came over here.
Yeah.
Booker T. was like a, you know, I feel like that's one speech, his life's work far outweighs one speech that I feel like, you know, if we put it in the proper context and look at the time, look what he's dealing with, you might understand, like, I see where the brother was coming from, because he was dealing with people that, like, that's all they knew. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So a lot of times you have to meet people where you are. And he was trying to build Tuskegee so people could carry on his work further.
And if you read people like Amos Wilson, you know, that thick book he got about the whole Black Power blueprint, you got to build economic power first before you build political. So, like, you're not going to go in there unless you want to bring arms and stuff like that. You can't be a rabble rouser necessarily without, you know, being able to do for self and showing that you got a backing, like, independent of them. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot that we can do for ourselves, man, had we had followed that, or had we had been more invested in that, you know. Man, what's the potential for us going back there again? You know, I know you're not a fortune teller, of course, but I know, like, what direction you see this going in DC, man. I know, because I know y'all been doing the stuff with the kids. I see you involved in that, you know, in some respects, but like, what does that look like, you know, at this point, you know, just.
I think, man, this might sound crazy. I think it's like a good time. I know it's probably not the right time right now to say it's a good time, but I think it's like more people, at least I started like growing food and stuff or working with nature, being an earth worker like 7 years ago, or maybe like 8 years ago at this point. And it's like more and more Black people getting into it, more and more people. I see more and more people with like Facebook pages and Instagram pages, and so I think it's like it's catching on, and people are like kind of hearing that call. You know what I mean? So I think we're going in the right direction, and I think we have to understand, man. Things take time. They're not on our time. It's on like a larger time for things to come back around, and us to like kind of realign things the way they're supposed to be, or the way that we think they're supposed to be. So I think it's a good time to take advantage of the downtime that people have, the just the curiosity that people have. I think it's a good time to tap into all of that, man, to have good conversations with folks and take advantage of the opportunity, So we understand that like we can't rely on the system for everything, you know what I'm saying? So
definitely not. Before we wrap up, man, because you've given us so much. What I guess my question for you is, how does it feel? You said 8 years now. Like, what does the future hold for you, man? That's a loaded question. I guess like what's on your mind for the next 8 years? Just given all that you've done.
Man, I want to get some land. Hopefully I can. Black Dirt Farm Collective can get some land, or myself and my lady, we can get some land.
Yeah.
Or both get some land. Man, continue to grow food and continue to build out. I want to create a space that people can come to and learn how to grow food. I want to be able to, I want to create more products, probably not hot sauce, but more like canned stuff. So like canned tomatoes and like stuff that people can use, and do more education around that too. So stuff that can go to market.
Yeah.
Also just opportunities to like educate and train people. So I would want to do that more. I want to get more into building. I think there's like a lot of the stuff that we're looking for, man. I think, man, we kind of have it, It's like I haven't met the urban ag or what ags or whatever I'm a part of. I don't even know how to name it. I've been able to travel and meet a lot of different people. You know what I'm saying? And I realized that like everything that we like looking for, and this light went off. Everything we looking for is like, man, it's people that do that shit. You know what I'm saying? That know how to do it. It's intelligent people, brilliant people, creative people. So I want to be more in the role of like connecting people and connecting the dots. You know what I'm saying? Because I meet so many people all the time, like just connecting the dots. You know what I'm saying? And threading it all together and figuring out how we can work together. Figuring out ways that we can work together. Figuring out like what does helping us think through like what does working together mean? How do we work through conflict when conflict happens? You know what I'm saying? Resolution and just all these types of things. But I just want to be like hopefully somebody that can help bridge those networks. There's just so many brilliant people. Like earlier this week, I just had a dope conversation with a woman named Salome. She works at an organization called Thousand Currents.
Okay.
It's an amazing organization. They do like the stuff that I'm into. They just fund it in like the global South, so in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And I was talking to her specifically about wanting to create some type of connection between folks on the continent who are doing farming with folks over here and in the Caribbean. And like, how can we create those networks? And we're going to try to figure out a way to do that. You know what I'm saying? But just like, it's so much like, man, brilliance out here that I think, man, I want to be able to kind of connect those pieces together, man. That's my 8-year plan. So get some land, create more products for market, for Black folks, for everybody, but definitely for Black folks. Teach more folks how to grow food. Teach more folks, like, share the skills I have. I want to acquire some more skills, and I want to create a connection between farmers on the continent, Caribbean, and the United States. And I think that's probably, I think all of that is possible. I actually think it's probably easier. It sounds like a lot, but I think if we think expansively and we work together, it's easy. It's like light work. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
On all of it, it's the whirlwind. You know what I'm saying? We part of the whirlwind. We all gonna do it. We a part of it. It's gonna fall into place.
I agree, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show, man. I love what you're doing, man.
Nah, thank you, bro. We'll need to get an update at some point down the line. Whenever you have whatever you got going on, you always got a spot on All Eyes on DC.
Yeah,
I just want to thank you again for just getting this hip to what's going on and how to move forward.
Yeah, and my homeboy, my man Mosadi, he got joined rooted and sustained. He's selling seedlings. They get people want to start the garden, rooted and sustained. I never like really help people do backyard gardens, but I feel like I'm gonna talk to him. Maybe that's something that like we should like offer a service, because it seems like that would be good to help people.
It's that time, seriously. It's that time.
We might do that, but also I'll keep you posted on the Afro-ecology encounter, man. You should come out. I think it'll be dope for you to come out. It'll definitely be in like either September or October sometime. So hopefully all this is, if everything falls into place, we'll be able to do it. It'll either be in North Carolina or on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, but it's like a Black farmer gathering. I think you appreciate it, man. It's dope.
All right, my man. All right, cool. Xavier Brown, everybody. Veteran horticulturalist. And once again, thank you for your time. We're gonna post this on the website and get it out for people, man. So appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, bro.
All right, bro. Much love and respect, man.
All right, peace and blessings. Let me and